Hello, what the hell is this? Hello, brothers and sisters of light and dark. Welcome to my page. My page, my comments. Since I try to keep it down, then nitty under 10 minutes. If it goes over 10 minutes, I'm very fucking important. And not important that liberals, libertarians, people who believe in God, people who smoke, people like to drink, people like ayahuasca, people like DMT, people who just cannot think outside the motherfucking box. Listener's discretion is advised. I'm your friendly neighborhood Sexologist. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, or even roast fest you want, that makes my day. I love hate. Okay, I feed off of a fucking vampire. I'm a psychopath, not a sociopath. Okay, I do things meticulously. I calculate shit. So, you can say psychopathy. Okay, I'm more on the psychopathy side. Okay, an intelligent sociopath, if you want to put it like that. Okay, I'm not gonna be like saying I'm a sociopath when I'm not social. Okay. But anyway, I digress here. Let's talk about the subject now here. What does democracy mean? Okay. The meaning of democracy means that when the minorities of the country, which is predominantly other colors rather than white, okay, and those who are not privileged, like certain white individuals in this country, are given handouts. How is that working, okay? I don't believe that really works too well, okay? I really truly believe that to be a Democrat is not working well for the minorities. Because you know why? You know why? You gotta think about the origins of the Republican Tea Party, okay? Abraham Lincoln, okay? He was a Republican. Martin Luther King, he was a Republican, okay? You have to understand, you have to take a more on the discipline side, on the capitalistic side, in order to fix the things that's going on in society, okay? Now, of course, everybody has to take care of the mentally ill and also the elderly. But when it comes down to democracy, how is that working out for the hood? Okay, I always wondered. I say, yeah, that shit don't always work. I'm like, so you got women actually getting pregnant on purpose, and they just want a handout. I think that's what it comes down to. And so, since we already know, as I talked about this before, how does democracy work? Okay, I'm like, are you supposed? See, you know what it is? I think the democracy destroys the country. The more people want a handout, it becomes a socialist economy. And people don't understand, the more women who are having sex and having these bastard children, and the more they do this, and there's a pathology to it. And eventually, we'll have all these parasites everywhere. Everybody's a parasite, to a degree. But of course, you know what I'm talking about is common sense. I try to keep it down and nitty gritty in 10 minutes. I don't always talk over 10 minutes. But how is the democracy working? How is it working when you got a bunch of women with their heads cut off, okay, with no discipline in their life? I know so many more men who are Republicans, who are part of the Republican Tea Party, okay? But of course, when I was younger, let me tell you something about democracy. I said, I always wondered that who is the people in power who works for the Democrats? What are they doing to help? Are they putting the money in the right place? I have so many fucking questions about democracy. Shouldn't everybody be happy? But it's really not everybody being happy, because you know who's actually more happier? It's the women who are more happier. The single mothers out there, black and white. Though white women use the democracy more, the black men and the white men are being kicked out. Nobody's talking about men's problems for a democracy. What happened to men having a democracy, motherfuckers? What happened to them? Okay. So if you want equal people, equal rights, and all this other stuff, what happened to the men who's getting neglected in the courts because of lack of evidence? Okay, I don't understand how a democracy works. Think about it, you guys. Think about it. A democracy is supposed to help the minorities. The minorities is not really a woman of color or a woman without color. Okay, you could be a white or black woman, but you still feed off the system more for a democracy. But the men are being forced out, so they're like, nobody's talking about the men, okay? So when you see these TV shows where these white women, predominantly white women, take advantage of these white men, okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the fuck? Are they getting a slice of the cake too? How the hell is there justice when you want to judge a man with no evidence? Because that's what it's coming down to. Because I learned that myself. I'm like, I'm a black male, educated male. I brought my wife over here, and I'm assuming that they put me on a contract saying you must take care of your wife, da 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 da. But then when I go to court, I'm like, hey, there's no evidence that I'm abusing the bitch, okay? And then they want to give me, it's the judges. Oh, so is it the judges that actually making the America's democracy terrible? I think so. I think it's the feminine judges who don't have a sense of order because they don't want the woman to be abused, but it's really the men who's being abused. What about the man's psychology? What about him? He's supposed to rise up on his own feet. What if he's ignorant? What if he's raised by a single mother? Because the other bastard children asked. You see how many questions that's why I don't get into politics too much. It just gets so confusing. So a democracy is supposed to be, I'm not supposed to see not one American, homeless American in the street. But I do. I was in the streets. And it's predominantly who? What sex is usually predominantly in the street? Males. The men are in the jails. There are more men in jail than women, okay? There are more black men, especially, in jail. So the psychology behind that is you're supposed to help those who are in dire need, but it's not working. Somebody's not doing their motherfucking job. Understand how a democracy is supposed to work. You're supposed to be preventive when you're a democracy. You're supposed to, but I guess it still caters to stupid women, okay? Because that's what it's coming down to. Think about it, okay? You got little boys. Hey, I've raised a lot of kids in my past, more than most of you. I used to be a personal babysitter and a fucking fetish gigolo. Don't even try with me. I'm gonna tell you right now. Every time I see a boy, the boy's doing fine when he's young. When he's growing up, okay, he plays video games, especially the white ones, okay. But the little black boys, they go a different path, okay, because they're not as logical, as from my perspective, okay. Little girls, however, they're all over the fucking place, socializing, going outside, okay? My problem is that what happened to homeschooling? What happened to, like, helping women raise their kids independently so they can be homeschooled or they can try to hire people, but they don't have enough education either? So how is democracy actually working psychologically? How are they working to help their children so they won't become a statistic in a democratic country, okay? If this is not a democratic country, I keep telling people this all of the time, this is a republic country, okay? It's all about capitalism. And if all of the capitalism leave, and they leave, okay, then what, okay? Okay, if the women take over, what you gonna do about that, guys? Okay, because it's all y'all. It's up to you guys' fault or foreigners coming in, because I think there's a part of that too. If you're a foreigner, you should have no rights in this country to take over anything. You might have some property like China do, but you'll never take over. You'll never take over the full monopoly of America just from the outside. But somebody told me that the British is doing it. Somebody told me that the French is doing it. But how is America being America if it's not independent from all those other countries? Is that a democracy too? It gets so confusing. I'm uneducated when it comes to certain politics, but I try to keep it simple. I'm like, wait a minute, a democracy is supposed to work for everybody, for equal rights and equal pay. And so, not equal pay though, because that's not fair. That's not right. Nobody should be getting paid equal. Because there's a time and place to raise the rates. There's a time and place to reduce the rates. You may have came in at about $8 an hour. But I do feel that if the rates go up, you should get your rates too, okay? I feel that too, okay? Unless you're a boss or you're in a different position. But women tend to forget about that, because everybody have different positions and stuff. And sometimes there's a budget that needs to be made, and then women don't get paid as much as men, because that can happen, okay? It's up to the boss, a boss's discretion, okay? But listen to what I'm saying here, if the women has taken over all of this stuff, and then the beta alpha cucks are being born from these type of women, how do you fix all those problems like that? You gotta have Trump. Go Trump. Oh my God, man. But that's all I really wanted to say. How is democracy helping the hood? How is democracy having an advantage for white women more than black women? How is it doing that? I just don't see how democracy is working. So it's time to take up arms, everyone, and start voting Republican now to see how that works. Because I see too many women taking advantage of the system more than men. Men don't have a chance in the fucking system. White men and black. I still see them more homeless in the streets. I never see women in the streets too much. Think about that, you guys. And that's not fair. That's not right, okay? And that's all I wanted to say about that. Peace.